Welcome to the Hiker's Guide to Slope. All right, we're going to go on a little adventure today to see how a simple path on a map, or, a line on a graph, can tell a really powerful story about how different things in our world are connected.
Okay, let's dive right in. So our journey starts here, in what looks like a mysterious field of dots, kind of like stars in the night sky. But these aren't just random. See, each dot is a clue, marking a spot where two different things were measured at the exact same time.
So you gotta wonder, is this just a random mess of dots, or is there a hidden story here? If you look from left to right, do you start to see a pattern? Is there some secret connection between these two things we're looking at?
Well, to figure that out, we're going to need a guide and a path. So let's picture this, a tiny hiker whose whole job is to find the clearest trail right through the middle of all this data. This path our hiker takes, that's what we call a fitted line. Think of it like the straightest, most efficient summary of where all those dots are trying to go. And the most important thing about this path, its entire story really, is its steepness. And that steepness? Yeah, it has a name. We call it the slope. And it's awesome because it's just one single number that tells us everything we need to know about the hiker's journey, how steep the path is, and which direction it's heading. You know, our hiker's path can really only tell two kinds of stories. Over on the left, you've got your classic uphill journey. We call that a positive slope. See how as the hiker moves forward, they're also climbing up? But on the right, it's the total opposite, a downhill journey. That's a negative slope. As they move forward, they're heading down. So now that we know about uphill and downhill tales, let's follow our hiker into the wild and see what these look like with some real-world data.
All right, first stop, Diamond Mountain. Every single dot you see here represents a diamond, mapping out its weight against its price. And just look at that path. It's a steady climb uphill, right? This is just a perfect example of an uphill tale, what we call a positive association. The story couldn't be clearer. As a diamond gets heavier, its price tends to go way up. Heavier diamonds, higher price. Simple as that.
Okay, time for a totally different landscape. Our hiker is leaving the shiny mountains and heading down into the used car valley. Now, each dot here is a car, showing its mileage versus its price. So, what direction is this path heading? And there you have it, a classic downhill story, a negative association. It makes total sense, right? The more miles you put on a car, the lower its price usually is. As one thing, the mileage goes up, the other thing, the price, tends to go down. Okay, so knowing if the journey is uphill or downhill is a fantastic start. But the slope, it gives us a secret code. It's an actual number with a super precise meaning. It doesn't just tell us the direction, it tells us the exact steepness of the path. So to crack this code, let's look at some data about our furry friends. This line shows the relationship between a dog's height and its weight. We can already tell it's an uphill journey, right? A positive association. Taller dogs tend to be heavier. But the real question is, just how steep is that climb? Well, the math behind this line tells us the slope is exactly 4.27, okay? It's a positive number, so we knew it was an uphill climb. But what on earth does 4.27 actually mean in the real world? This number, this is the secret recipe for the path. It tells us something incredibly specific. For every single 1-inch step forward our hiker takes, that is, for every inch a dog gets taller, we can predict its weight will climb up by 4.27 pounds. It's the exact rate of change. So you see, slope isn't just some boring term from math class. No way. It is an incredibly powerful tool for telling clear, concise stories with data. It helps us see and understand all these hidden connections in the world all around us.
So let's wrap up what our little hiker taught us. A positive slope, that's your uphill story. As one thing goes up, the other tends to go up too. A negative slope, that's the downhill tale. As one thing goes up, the other tends to go down. And that number, the actual slope value, that tells you exactly how steep the journey is, letting us predict just how much things will change.
Okay, so now that you know how to read the story in the dots, I want you to think about it. Where do you see these stories playing out in your own life? What about the hours you study and your grade on a test? Or maybe the temperature outside and your heating bill? Seriously, the world is just full of these slopes, and now you know how to find them.